So my shrimp need a new home. You can see there's plenty of shrimp in there, but I think this
and it don't look too pretty.
This tank's got a bit of old tank syndrome, so I've already removed all the plant life, and I'm slowly catching them and putting them into containers. I'm going to redo this tank, and I'll post a update when it's done. So you can see this very simple trap that goes in like that. I've used some algae wafer food, some shrimp sticks, and my shrimp go crazy for banana. So I've added a bit of banana in there. It's just going to make it
basic starch.
a bit easier rather than going through and manually scooping out every single shrimp. And now it's really just a waiting game. I think if you can see in there, you can see there's a couple of shrimp already in there. So yeah, just a waiting game. As you can see here, it's obviously works pretty well. There's a lot of shrimps in there. I've already collected a fair few in here. So looks like this tank is free. I've double checked it for any. Oh no! Look, there is one straggler, tiny one there in the back. I'll have to catch.
We're not in the business of leaving shrimp behind.
Collected. And then we'll be cleaning out this tank. Probably replacing the base with a mixture of the crushed coral and ADA soil, and planting. Alright, we grow vegetables, so I've stirred up the substrate a bunch to get all that, you know, nutritious good stuff in the water. I'm gonna chuck it in here. There's some cherubim bones and stuff in there as well. I'm gonna go put it on the garden. Just give it a good old scrub down. Want it as clean as possible. The fun part starts, which is the aquascaping. I recommend always putting a towel down when you're going to do this. So here's my first layer. So I've got a bit of rocks there. I'm going to basically use that to elevate, and so I use less of the ADA aqua soil. Obviously I have my forewoman here inspecting the job. What do you think about Tango? Good job? Alright, so I found some rocks. They're absolute pearlers. They're nice and white, which I think will give a good contrast to the darkness of the soil. Now, you do have to worry about, bacteria and whatnot that could be, collected. So my solution is I put them in a solution of 5% hydrogen peroxide, and I place an ultrasonic cleaner like this. Basically it vibrates and heats, and I just run it for 480 seconds. And at the end of that, the rocks will be much whiter in colour, and it will also sort of kill any bacteria, remove any dirt, things like that. I'm just storing the shrimp in a little bowl here. It's not very large, but it's just temporary. I've put some little bits of some fisted moss in there, and a shrimp stick. You see they're going crazy. You want to try to reduce the stress a little bit, and they'll be moving into their new home soon. As you can see, it's now very cloudy. So that's all the little bits of dirt that are on those rocks. So I'm going to wash them, and then I'm going to place them into the substrate. So now the tank's not tank set up, but the the hardscape's all set up. Now these rocks will mess with your pH. That's kind of okay there with the shrimp. They will lower pH. Now I've got to wet it before I plant it, so I just use a giant syringe like this, and I just get it nice and moist, moist enough that I can sort of plant plants in it. As you can see now, it's a good level of moistness. I can touch into it, and it will stick down, so I'll be able to plant plants in it. So next step is putting some plants in. So I've finished planting. As you can see, I've added the rocks. I've also added some plants. There's some plants that will grow high up the back. These here, they stay relatively small. This is some fisted moss that's attached to a stick, and this is like a Java fern type of crawler. I don't know the name of a lot of these plants. They're just plants I've collected and I take cuttings of. So these are all just cuttings from one of the tanks. So now I have to fill it up, which is a slow process. I'll show you how that's done. Alright, so I've got the bucket, got the tube, start filling. So I'm like a rock or something first. So I'm actually slowing the flooding of it to about halfway, using the water from an existing tank. This means that the cycling process won't take as long. We've also got the pre-established sponge filters, so I'll be placing one of them in there. So it should cycle in, with the heater in, it'll cycle in 24 hours. Now I've filled it up very slowly using the blue tube, and now it's just a waiting game. You can chuck a filter in there to speed it up if you like, but I generally just wait. Eventually it'll clear up with the ADA soil. I've become a little bit impatient, decided to speed up, so I've chucked 2 sponge filters in there. I have really basic sponge filters, just yeah, I'll show you how I made them maybe later on. Oh, none of 3 ain't bad. Looks like the quote-unquote speed cycling has cycled the tank pretty well. I'm sitting between 0 ppm and maybe 0.5, but look, I've left that out for a while. It's got the faintest yellow there. So yeah, here we are 7 days after everything was initially set up. You can see the plants are really taking off. I have removed some of the plants in favors of the dwarf hairgrass. I figured I might as well make the most use out of the more powerful LED that I have over this here. The moss is growing in nicely. The US Ficidum moss, which is a bit of a treat. It's not very common to find here in Brisbane, Australia. The floating plants, these are just collected from my local creek. They go through a quarantine process first. All these all the rocks are all locally sourced as well, all cleaned using the ultrasonic method I showed. And the wood here is Malaysian spiderwood. So the larger rocks and the wood, as well as all the dwarf hairgrass, all comes from a pre-cycled tank. I left the sponge filter in there running for 7 days just to ensure that I had adequate bacteria, but it hasn't seemed to be an issue whatsoever. So I'm just hoping to see this all grow in nicely. And up the back there I have a little breeder box with some endless fry in it. I plan to put in a filter in the end, so it'll work as both a sump and a little grow box for fry. Alright.
Thank you very much for watching this 8-minute video on how to set up a cherry shrimp tank. I hope you learned a thing or two. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoy cherry shrimp and fish and hobbies, science and nature and whatnot as much as I do. Yeah, if you have any questions, send me a message, and yeah, I'll make another video soon. Thank you.